Here with Trav over at the Darley Football Netball Club, who's celebrating a very exciting milestone this week, mate. Game 400. Congratulations, and how did the journey start here at Darley?
Well, it actually, funny story, a guy that I used to play football with over at Bacchus Marsh, said, why don't you come over to Darley? I wasn't sort of happy at Bacchus Marsh, and said, why don't you come over and try? And I've gone, I'm at Bacchus Marsh, I can't do that. And came across here in '95 and been playing here ever since. So,
Was there a bit of that rivalry between Darley and Bacchus Marsh back in those days, or was it? Well, Darley was still in the RDFL comp at the time.
Yeah. So Darley was still in the RDFL, so separate competition for a couple of years. But there was still a rivalry from way back when they used to play against each other, and it was one of the things that you sort of didn't cross the freeway. But I've been over here enjoying my football ever since. So
What was it like back then with this? Who were some of the names, popular names around Darley running around at the time?
When I first started here, there was the Whelan boys, Rod Ward and Shane Ward. We played in the grand final that year, and I think that there was 4 or 5 sets of brothers. So, and there was actually Lexi Miller, and he had his brother-in-law Danny Miller that. Played as well, so there was some really good players.
So by the sound of it, mate, a lot of good family environments, a lot of families around.
Yes, definitely, and always has been a bit of a family club and all that sort of stuff. So the people around the club, been awesome. So
now you're running out for game 400 this week. Is it just how does a number like that sort of rack up? I know you must show up year in year out playing your footy, and you probably don't pay too much attention to the numbers.
It was one of those things that you just start playing, and then all of a sudden it's 150 I think was like one of the first milestones celebrated, and then 200, and I got to 300 club games, and then all of a sudden they just every 3 or 4 years a milestone comes along. I've been lucky enough to be touch wood injury free, so you always have your little niggles and all that sort of stuff, but no serious knees or ankles or anything like that. Along the way I finished up some people, but it's lucky that way.
You've shown up in Darley '95. You've had some good names around, and you're a young kid at the time, or younger at the time. What was it like playing, sort of progressing up to senior footy?
So I was 20 when I first came here. Started off by playing a couple of reserve games and all that sort of stuff, and then was lucky enough to make my way into the senior side, and we played in a grand final that year 2-1. So which is awesome. I'm the first time I'd ever played finals in my whole career. So and then it was surreal. Turned 21 during the season. Actually got married as well, and then so 95 was a pretty good year, and then went to Disneyland for my honeymoon and all that sort of stuff. So it was really good.
So you had all 3 good things. You got the married, you got the premiership, but most importantly, you went to Disneyland.
Which is really good. And I was actually playing football the year before at a place called Inglewood, which is up in the London Valley League, and their season finishes earlier than ours, so I was never planning on coming to Darley. And my wife actually moved our wedding, we moved it a month forward to take it out of finals once I started playing at Darley, and it actually fell, we moved it to a Sunday, and when the fixture came out we had a game, so I ended up missing a game, and it was against the team that we ended up playing in the grand final. But
so you could have been playing your game 400 last week.
Yeah.
Why things have sort of gone out. Fantastic. When you first started playing in that senior team, you had the big names. What position were you playing?
I was playing in the ruck, so swapping to start with, and then ended up running most of the day in the ruck, which I did for a fair chunk of my career. So had stints down back and stints up forward, but most of the time as a ruckman.
Now, over the years, you've played a lot of good footy, and you've been around some good players. Did you sort of had trouble maintaining your spot up at senior level for a while?
No, most of the time I was pretty good. I can remember getting dropped probably when I was in my early 30s. It was sort of a bit of a sting, and then got back into the senior side and played pretty much senior football up until I was about 37, sort of thing. So I've ended up making about playing 293 senior games at Darley. So not quite getting to the 300, but but yeah, sort of keep myself fit and being pretty consistent. I've been able to play fairly consistent senior footy.
Was that a conscious decision you made as well? You sort of reached that age, you're going, well, I'm just happy to have a kick around now, or was it just something you sort of spoke about with the club to maybe, you know, hand the baton over and let the next batch of kids come through?
Yeah, it was a bit of a transitional year. Gary Learmonth was coaching at the time, and I sort of spent, I reckon, the start of the year trying. Had another ruckman and all that sort of stuff, and I was playing twos, and I actually came back and played the second half of the year. So it was just made a bit of a difference. Then there was a change of coaches, and you had a chat to them, and I talked to the reserves coach at the time, and was happy to play reserves, and if they needed me to go back into the seniors, but it was getting a bit hard. Yeah, hard on the body. Some bigger, younger ruckmen coming through, and they seem to get bigger and taller and fitter every year.
In the last few years, you've played a handful of senior games. Has that just been good fun going out there, no pressure, and just enjoying it?
When I played my last senior game, it was actually against Cotters from East Point. So didn't enjoy it too much. I can remember because the games were a bit longer, cramping up pretty bad and all that sort of stuff. Because one of our ruckman had gone down, so sort of caught up. Whereas playing in the reserves, shorter quarters, and you can just. It's just a little bit easier on the body. Not that you don't work as hard and all that sort of stuff, but rotating through to the forward line and all that sort of stuff. Been a little bit easier than running all day on the ruck. So
you would have played. You played with some great stars. So who were some of the better opponents that you enjoyed playing against?
Well, Cotters was always a challenge. Oren Stephenson, when he was first coming through, was I can just remember him, just a big boy. Really hard to compete against. And, he was a little bit younger than me too when he sort of come through. So they're probably a couple of the standouts.
Fantastic, and you do something interesting for a living, mate. And it is very hard on the body. I admire the work you do. You played your 399th on the weekend, and then you went off to work. Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so I work as a shift worker at the refinery over in Geelong. So I swap my shifts around so I can make myself available for footy. So instead of doing day shift, I'll swap on to nights. So then I end up playing football and going to work for 12 hours and coming home, and it's a challenge, but worthwhile. So this year I only missed the first game of the season. Otherwise I've played every other game since. So it's been good.
And the best part is you still get to enjoy your kids play footy as well. You got one of the under 16s, one of the under 18s, and your better half is around as well. So you've made it a good family focus around the Darley club.
My boys have grown up around the club. They used to run the water and all that sort of stuff for the senior club, as well as the reserves when I've been playing. And my wife does a power of work around here, volunteering, doing the timekeeping or the interchange steward, as well as the canteen and afternoon teas and all that sort of stuff. So the hardest time was probably when the boys were young and little and all that sort of stuff, wanted to run on the ground, and that's probably when I got the most pressure to retire. But that's 15 years ago now. So so still going. So
fantastic, mate. Well, best of luck on the weekend, and congratulations on a wonderful milestone. And there might be a few more games left in you, and maybe you could walk away a premiership player this year.
That'd be lovely. I played in one in '95 and lost a couple since. So if we could, going to go the hard way now because we lost last week. But if we could, top it off with a premiership, that'd be great. Just to unite the guys that I've been playing with for a few years and all that sort of stuff would be really good for us.
Fantastic, mate. Hopefully the spirit of the occasion, let alone the significance of the game itself, will be enough to get the boys up and get you into a prelim.
That'd be awesome. So thank you.